Hey guys, I'm Kenna. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Learn Lekha. So in this episode, we're going to be learning about how to repot into Lekha. So I feel bad, I've already repotted all of the plants that I wanted to because I got really excited, and also my house has been an absolute disaster, so I didn't want you guys to see it. This is like the only corner that ever looks good. I'm gonna show you just basically on my lap. I'm gonna repot like one of the last plants that I have left to go into Lekha that I really want to go into Lekha. This one is potted in just regular potting soil with only a little bit of perlite, and that honestly, in my growing conditions, works. It's not my favorite thing ever though. So this isn't my ideal soil mix, and I know a few of you guys have been asking me what soil I use, and I will just let you guys know that I use Kaylee Ellen's soil mix. So I'm not going to make my own video on it, at least not yet, until I determine whatever works for me in my growing zone. But so Kaylee Ellen has a really good video on that. She has, let's see, coco coir, pumice, or perlite. I use both sometimes. It really just depends on the paycheck. Coco coir, pumice, worm castings, activated charcoal, and orchid bark, which is also fir bark, by the way. So that is my go-to soil mix. But recently I've been getting into Lekha, and this video is all about Lekha. So we're going to transition this little meager plant I have. This is a philodendron Brazil into Lekha. And I have different sized Lekha as well. Let's see. I have, here we go, this Monstera adansonii wide form. I have two different kinds of Lekha. Here is the big stuff that I usually use. I'm missing a nail. I'm actually missing a lot of nails. Look at that. That's disgusting. Anyway, so I've got a bunch of big ones here. They're labeled as giant from Hydroton. And then I also have the smaller version up here too. So that way I can conserve on space and save some money. So with this plant though, I'm thinking that we'll only need the small stuff. In fact, if you want microscopic stuff, like for begonias or for, what else has really hair-like roots? Peperomia. Most peperomia at least. You can use, actually from Petco, they sell lizard terrain, or like lizard substrate. They call it expanded clay substrate. I can't remember. I will actually just link that in my description. It is not an ad, it's not a plug for anything, it's just because I've used it before. I used it for a giant white bird of paradise, but I have since cleaned that out and used it for other plants, and I ended up using the giant balls and medium-sized balls on those as well. So anyway, quick word on this plant. This grew from literally just 3 leaves. I love propagating things, but I would like to give a shout out to Plant Me Ashley for her video this week. Well, she does a lot of videos. She has a lot of amazing content, but one video in particular, she talked about her experience with the plant world, I guess, about not asking people for cuttings and, you know, just basic etiquette, things like that. So this was a cutting that I took from my own plant, but that original plant came from a cutting from a friend. So I just want to show you guys that, you know, it's okay to reach out and ask for things, but you really, really, really should look at her video because it's all about etiquette when asking other people for plants. I think last week I showed you guys my silver sword philodendron. That one I got in a trade with somebody on Instagram, and she's local, so I like drove to her house and we did a trade. But I gave her a list of all my plants, and I showed her all my plants, and she was like, well, we kind of have the same taste in plants, and so I don't know if I really want anything of yours. And I was like, I also do moss poles. She's like, oh my gosh, I want a moss pole. And then so I gave her 2 because she decided to give me silver sword philodendron, or philodendron hastatum. Check out the algae. But yeah, she I feel like I may have backed her into a corner. This is something that Ashley will go over. She talks about how if you're friends with that person or you're local to them, they may feel awkward if they say no. And now I've learned my lesson. In fact, there's a couple of people that I've asked, hey, do you want to do a trade? I have Pink Princess Philodendron. Do you want to do a trade? I'd love some Albo Monstera. Okay, stop right there. Okay, I will never ask somebody for an Albo Monstera unless they have offered it to me in the past. Or if somebody comes to me and says, hey, can I have some of this? I will trade you Albo Monstera. That is the only time that I will not have to pay for a Monstera, an Albo Monstera at least. Just because, you know, it's proper etiquette. Like I've had friends from high school that I haven't talked to in years. They'll come up to me and they know that I have, or they'll come up to me on Instagram, I guess, and they'll come up to me and say, hey, would you be able to spare some cuttings? I'm just starting out. And I'm like, hey, yeah, we used to be really good friends, so I'm going to send you some cuttings. But it is kind of awkward, though, if people ask for more rare plants. Like I've had some people ask me for just my common stuff because they know I have over 100 plants, or at least had. And so they know that I can spare some. But if somebody asks me for a pink princess and they're like, hey, I just really want a pink princess, we're friends, right? And I'm like, no, we haven't talked in years. Anyway, so I'm just gonna kind of get off that train now, but just please, I'll link it in the description. Please go check it out. I need you guys to know basic etiquette and how to be kind and courteous to other people in the plant world. So that is my soapbox for the day. So back to this Brazil philodendron. I am going to clean off the roots and I will show you guys. I just vacuumed, but I'm gonna do this. Okay, you ready? So I'm gonna pull them out. Ooh, easy peasy, because he's so dry. Best time, in my opinion, is to do it when they're dry. In my experience, though, alocasias do not like to be dry, and so they will prefer right when you need to water, not when they're dry, if that makes sense. But so with philodendron though, I'll just take it out of the pot while it's dry, and then I can shake off most of the soil, and then I will rinse it off. And when I say rinse, I actually mean scrub, just gently scrub, because if there's anything left on the roots when you put it into water or into LECA, you can actually cause root rot, because if you have anything left on the roots, it just holds so much water next to that root and it will overwater it, even though it's in water. Does that make sense? So depending on your location, which is another thing that Plant Me Ashley goes over in her video, depending on your location, hydrogen might not even work for you. I mean, hydrogen or LECA. It may not even work for you. Or, you know, just putting it in water will work for you, or filling LECA all the way to the top will work for you. You know what? I'm not going to tell you guys like the one way to take care of plants. This is just how I do it. And if it works for you, great. So yeah, this one, I'm gonna clean off all of the roots and then I will go from there. All right, so I took this guy over to the sink and I rinsed off the roots, and honestly, I knocked off quite a few roots, which is totally normal. You know, you're not gonna be able to get it perfectly every time. So, and which means that there may be a little bit of root die-off, and this plant may regress just a little bit. So, but that's okay, because we'll be able to get it back to how I want it in a few weeks. So if it starts declining way too much, I will probably just put it back in soil, just because I'm not an expert on LECA yet. That's why we're learning LECA. So my suggestion for this type of plant, anything that's trailing, get it how you want it, reorganize it, move it around, figure out how you want it, and then also pick out what container you want. I'm gonna do clear so that you guys can see the difference in root growth in a little while. So let me just show you. These roots are not completely clean, and I kind of wanted this to be an experiment to show you guys what happens when there's still just a little bit on there. So this stuff, I kind of went like this on the roots with my hands, and most of the soil came off, but there's still a little bit of black, which is totally normal. Like, I see that all the time on a lot of the things that I've repotted, and it will start growing new roots and these will die off. It just kind of depends on the plant. So you might see like either a plateau or a small decline, but if it's a sharp decline in your plant, take it out, check it out, make sure that it's okay. And in fact, that's going to be in another video soon. We're going to learn how to diagnose and fix the plants that we've had in LECA for a little while. So let's look at the process for repotting this one in LECA. I have right here in my strainer, because I just barely washed them and rinsed them, I have my giant hydroton, which is going to go in the bottom of this container, and this is just a peppercini pepper jar. I really like the clear jar sometimes. Sometimes I like it to be in a container you can't see because I don't care. I have a few kinds of pots. I have nursery pots in glass. I have jars. You can see those behind me. I also have right here my pink princess. She's in a terracotta pot inside of a plastic catch tray. And so that's how I get them to stay watered, is as long as I have a catch tray or a closed container, then they can hold the water. So these ones though, I do have to rinse them out. That's in my previous video, which I will link in the description and put it at the end. So you guys can see how I water them and how I give them nutrients. So anyway, back to this one. I'm gonna fill it to about right here maybe with the large hydroton, and then I'm gonna put in the next size up. And for those of you who are coming late to the game, hydroton, LECA, clay pebbles, like those are all, ooh, I'm dropping stuff. Those are all kind of synonyms for this stuff right here. It's just, what is it called? It's clay that has been heated to the point where it puffs up and it becomes porous. I don't know if you guys can see that. Jeez, my lighting is horrible. I'm backlit. I'm so dumb. Okay, but anyway, so if you plant your pot or plant your plant in this, what happens is the water gets wicked up through these, and the roots can take as much water as they need. I use hydroponic nutrients because this substrate is devoid of nutrients. That will be in my previous video, so check that one out. It's episode 1. All right, I'm gonna lay this plant down on my lap because for some reason I didn't give myself a table today. And we'll fill our container. We're only gonna go about halfway with this stuff because I wanna save money. I wanna use as much as possible of the big stuff towards the bottom. And then we're gonna use this size stuff. Because these roots are so shallow, that's why I'm going up so high. Normally you would do it like you would repot a normal potted plant. You do 1/3, stick the plant in, and then the other 2/3, or sometimes I'll do half, stick the plant in, and then the other half of LECA. Because my roots are so short, that's why I'm going up this high. Okay, there you are. I'm sorry, my lights are annoying. I am not an expert at lighting. Okay, so I'm gonna pull my plant up and I'm gonna get it situated how I want it. Trailing plants are a little bit harder in my opinion to get into LECA because you have to straighten them and hold them straight, and then you can plant them in. It's a little irritating. So we're gonna stick it in, except I've got one leaf sticking down. Would you stop doing this? So we've got them in there. Normally what I'll do is I'll hold it with one hand, set it on a table, and then it'll look kind of like this, but I have to hold it still with one hand. I got this. So I'm holding this in the center, and I'm going to fill the rest of it with LECA. There's gonna be so much on my floor. And then I kind of will shake it around and get the roots to settle. If you have any roots exposed, they will not stay moist. So you kind of want to make sure that you get everything covered. And I'm kind of not getting it exactly, which is totally okay, because you can redo it over and over again if you need to. If you want, like with the lip of the jar right here, you can kind of push them down in, but just be careful not to squash your plant. Now that my plant is potted in LECA, we can watch the roots grow because it's in a clear container. I'll show you guys a little bit of what it looks like now, so that you guys can reference for later. This one will sit on my shelf in the exact conditions it was in. The reason why I decided to pot this one was because it kind of hit a plateau, even though it's summertime. Because I wasn't seeing active, like, awesome growth like all my other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Brazil philodendrons. That is why I decided to repot it. So we're gonna see I hope we're gonna see a very big difference in the amount of root growth and leaf growth. So I'll keep you guys updated on this one. If you'd like to learn what nutrients and water goes in here and how to water them, make sure you guys check out my other video. Feel free to like and subscribe. Make sure you guys hit the bell button to be notified every time that I post a new video. And if you have any questions, as always, please let me know down in the comments. I'm very happy to answer questions on Instagram. Feel free to message me at I'm fond of you. And just know that I am learning just like you guys are. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Keep an eye out for next week's video. We're gonna either learn more about LECA or we're gonna learn more about how to save dying plants. So I know that I was saying that I was gonna show you guys my billietier, but I'm not ready yet. So I think I'm gonna save that for next week. It's popping out a new leaf and I really want you guys to see it. So we're gonna show you guys that one next week. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.